Question number 2. A random sample of 432 voters reveals that 100 are in favor of a certain bond issue. A 95% confidence interval for the proportion of the population of voters who are in favor of the bond issue is. Confidence intervals for proportions look like this. Sample proportion plus or minus your z star, that's your critical value, times your standard error, which from your formula sheet looks like this. You see the square root, under the square root p, parentheses 1 minus p, I should say p hat, not p, divided by n. So that's what that looks like. Now we know our random sample of 432 voters, that's going to be n. So we know we want to have 432 on the denominator. But your p hat is not 100. It says 100 are in favor, but that's out of 432. So your p hat is 100 divided by 432. Well, which won't be 100. I'm going to guess that it's going to be 0.231 since those are my answer choices. You can verify that. So that's going to be your starting. So now we look at over here, we have the same things in the proportion in the square root. 0.231 times 0.769. That's 1 minus 0.231 over 432. It's a matter of, is it 1.96 or 1.645? There are two ways you can get the number that's in the critical value, the z star. The way that I like to do it is use the calculator. So I will go and use inverse norm because normal curves go with the z-scores, not t. That's t intervals for inverse t. So inverse norm, which is 3, and I'm going to take my area and I'm going to average that with 1. So your confidence level is 0.95. In parentheses, you would type 0.95, add it to 1, close it up, and divide by 2. Leave 0 and 1 because we're talking about z-scores. So your mean is 0 and your standard deviation is 1. Keep it left. And that's 1.9599, which is about 1.96. The other way to do it, which is to use table B. So the way normal curves work is the t-table, if you use table B, that very last row, that infinity symbol, that is your z. That's like if the degree of freedom, which is the number in the sample minus the -1 if it's one variable, if it's t. But for z, we don't need a degree of freedom. It's infinity. And we look at our confidence level and we look at 1.96. And that's going to be your z star there. So either way, it doesn't matter to me. But whatever you're comfortable with getting that confidence, that z star, you can put that right in front of your standard deviation. 1.96 is going to be that. So it's going to be answer choice D. One way to remember if it's Z or T is to use a little acronym I like to call ZAP tax. So ZAP tax, ZAP with the Z and the P, T with the X. So you can see here, this kind of laid out how you can get that 1.96 from either the table or calculator. And then of course your sample proportion is 0.231.